Hey peoples, this is Gareth, writer, director and editor and actor for Silent Hill Requiem, and this is going to be a series of video logs. I figured it was time to do them. In hindsight I should have been doing them from the very beginning of the project, but I'm doing them now. And these are just going to give you as much details as I can about the projects, the ups, the downs and all the rest of it. I want to open with one confession. It's the first thing I want to open with. I grossly underestimated how much time it was going to be for me to make a feature film. I thought it'd be done by now, honest, and it's not, and it's not going to be finished tomorrow either. And so yeah, so I just want to apologise for all those people that are waiting it. You know, it's coming. It's just taking me a lot longer than I anticipated. I could reel out a ton of excuses, but I'm not going to bother. Just consider that I'm making this entire feature film by myself. I wrote it, I directed it, I'm now editing it, doing all the visual effects, putting it all together. You know, it's all me. No one else is helping me now. My team were pretty much in front of the camera. And now it's just all down to me. And yeah, it's taking longer than I anticipated. So I'm sorry about that. I really am. I am doing my best. I work on it 6 days a week, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day. It is my life right now. Well, not right now because I'm doing this, but it's basically my life. And it's been my life since November 2013. Yeah, so for this first vlog, I'm just going to give you how this all happened. Where did it come from? How did it start? And you know, and then vlog 2, and then vlog 3, and blah, blah. These are going to be totally stream of consciousness. I've not scripted any of this, so there's probably going to be jump cuts where I bugger it up, and I don't want to spend ages editing it. I just want to get these done and get them out so that you can see them. So, Silent Hill Requiem, how did it come about? Right, well, 2 years ago, November, sorry if you can hear any noise in the background, there's construction work going outside the studio. Can't control that. But, you know, if you hear it, apologies. If you didn't hear it, this was pointless. Anyway, November 2013. I was broke. I was down to my last £10, and I'm sitting there thinking, is this what I really should be doing in my life? You know, because I can't exist. I mean, I fucking love it, but unfortunately, society requires that I need money. And so you find yourself talking to God, so to speak. And I was like, look, if you know. No one could be blamed for where I am right now. I am here because I followed a path religiously, because I wanted to be what I wanted to be. And now I'm here, I'm doing what I want to do, but I'm living in crippling poverty. I need a sign. If I need to continue with this, fine, I will continue with this. But if this is just dead end street, then I need to jump ship. And so anyway, the next day, I was on Silent Hill Heaven, a group page on Facebook. I joined the page because for my previous film, episode, which was a horror film, I was using aesthetics and stylings of the horror scene in Silent Hill, and I joined the group page so I could talk to people about their experience with Silent Hill, what they found scary, what they didn't find scary. And then I was using that information to feed into episodes so that I could make episodes in the same kind of eerie horror style of Silent Hill. And I was on this page first thing in the morning the next day, and someone had put a link up to a Silent Hill short film by Brett Driver that was being crowdfunded. He wanted to raise $3,000 to make a short film that would detail the instance just before Silent Hill starts, you know, about James and Mary. And he'd nearly raised the money he wanted to. So I was like, oh, there is a big audience for Silent Hill like film still, considering, you know, what had happened with Hollywood. And so I had a look at his page, and I had a look at his previous work. He had a lot of subscribers, and I noticed that a lot of his work was based on video games. So I thought to myself, well, I've been doing a lot of my own original work up until this point. Maybe I should make a couple of little projects that are based on gaming franchises that I have a love for and would want to make a short film out of, and then use that as a platform to draw more attention to my other projects. That was the plan. So I was like, well, fuck it, I might as well do the Silent Hill project. I mean, I'd had a Silent Hill project in mind for years, ever since playing Silent Hill 2. I was like, yeah, I'd love to make a film like this. But back then I didn't have the skills or the talent to do so. But up to this point, people had said the aesthetics of Episode really reminded them of kind of like being in Silent Hill the game. So I was like, well, there you go, maybe I've got the aesthetic down. Maybe it's time to try it. Now, I wasn't going to crowdfund. I was just going to make a little short film and then send it out onto the internet and just hope to Christ people liked it, and it brought me more attention. So yeah, so that was the plan. I wasn't going to make a feature film, I wasn't going to crowdfund it, I was just going to make a Silent Hill short film, leave it at that. So, from my larger idea, I took a little section that I liked. The main character in Requiem was always Heather, so I knew it was going to be Heather. And so then I approached Olwyn and asked if she could do it, because I wanted to do it there and now. I just want to film it, get it done now, as quick as possible. And Olwyn, unfortunately, was far too busy at the time. She's, as well as an actress for me, she's also starred in other people's films, and she does her own live performance stuff for herself, and she was knee deep in that, so there was no way she could take any time off to help me with this. But thankfully, my other actress friend, Della Day, was back in Leicester. She just landed a major job working as the head of the drama department in a local secondary high school. And so I approached her and I said, you know, could you do it? It's going to be an evening at the most. And she was like, well, I've got a lot on, but yeah, I could free up an evening for you. So I was like, sweet. And so I wrote out the little script and I storyboarded it. You know, it took me a couple of days. And I was like, right, costume. I've got £10 until, because I had some more money coming in, but it wasn't for a while. So I was like, I've got 10 quid. And I don't have any costumes for Heather. You know, so I especially don't have the Heather costume. But then Requiem was always meant to be set years after. It's like, well, she wouldn't be wearing the identical clothes that she was wearing. But I was like, but I want the character to be wearing something similar. So like it's a style, it's a recognised style. But I was thinking, where the fuck am I going to find a sleeveless white hooded jacket for less than £10 in Leicester? I was like, I'm not, it's just not going to happen. You know, and so I went round to see Della. We went through a wardrobe to see what sort of clothes she had. You know, just the off chance she might have something that would work. Because I was looking at like the alternate costumes to Heather as well, thinking what we could mix and match. And when I went round, she was wearing shorts, denim shorts, and she had like a little white top on. And I was like, that would work. That, you know. But you need some kind of jacket. So I was just like, well, maybe I could find a white hoodie, then cut the arms off, slice it down the middle and attach a zip, and voila, it's close enough. So I checked the charity shops, or Goodwill to the rest of the world, and there were 7, in Leicester at the time, that I frequented quite often for costume and like sometimes my own clothes. And there was one particular one that whenever I went to it, always had what I wanted. So I always left that one till last. So I went around town, checked the other 6. I actually found a white hoodie in one of them. So I was like, okay, I asked the guy to hold that for me while I went and checked the others. And I got to the charity shop that I always happen to find what I'm looking for in, you know. Not expected to find anything. So I opened the door, and the first thing I see, staring straight back at me on the first rack, is a sleeveless, white, leather, hooded jacket with a zip. And I just fucking stood there. I was just like, no fucking way. And a guy behind me was like, are you going in or what? I was like, fuck, sorry mate, you know. And I went in, 4 quid. I wanted 4 quid for it. I mean, it was a size 12, so it was a bit big for Della because she was a 10. She is a 10 rather. And So I was like, that's fine, I could pin it in the back just to bring it in a bit. But fuck me, there it is. There it is. And I've got £10, and that's 4. Done deal. You know, and so I grabbed it, went round and saw it down. I was like, you ain't gonna fucking believe it, but look what I found. And she put it on, and yeah, it was a bit big, so you know, we tried to get it as small as we can. I'm no costume designer. My costume designer was, I think she was out of the country at the time, so you know, I had to deal with it myself. And so anyway, got the costume. You know, I already had the wig that she was going to wear from another project. And so she came over in an evening, filmed it all. Then the next evening, I filmed all of James. I'd already filmed Jade as the nurse prior. Before. So for those that may not have seen the proof of concept, I'm assuming that you know what the proof of concept. The proof of concept was a scene where Heather wakes up on a subway train. No idea how she got there. She finds a gun. She's attacked by one of the zombie nurses. She kills the zombie nurse. Goes into the next car, and there's James. You know, James is like, Mary, you know, because it's James. And she's like, no. And James, she doesn't know who the fuck's Mary, and he's like, oh, Mary was my wife, but I killed her, and he shoots himself in the head, you know, and then over the tannoy it says, next stop, Silent Hill, and then Heather hears the door of the train open. She looks round, and there's Robbie, big mascot guy, and his head starts shaking the old Jacob's Ladder style. She spins round with the gun, fires, and that was it. That was all it was ever going to be. That was it. That's what we filmed. You know, so we filmed Della in one evening, and I filmed James another. But after I'd filmed Della, I wanted to start playing around with the shots. And also I'd already mentioned, stream of conscience, I had already mentioned on the Silent Hill Heaven that I was going to make a Silent Hill short film, and I'll be releasing stills specifically on this group page to give feedback. So I took a shot of Della as Heather, a close shot, her kind of looking over the shoulder. So I didn't have to worry about making backgrounds. I was more about how am I going to colour this. So I did my usual, started playing around with colours and presets and all this sort of stuff, and I eventually landed on that greeny, washed out kind of grey colour. You know, Della came into the studio, the editing suite rather, and was like, wow, that looks really good. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm happy with it. I'm going to stick it on the group page and see what feedback I can get. And that's when the unexpected happened. For me, anyway. Within an hour, that still had gone viral. Like nothing for my work had ever seen before. Suddenly my page that only had like 200 likes now had 1,000 likes. And I was getting messages and inboxes on my personal page from people that had somehow found that I was... who had found me through Silent Heaven, yeah, obviously. But then also people that had been messaging the film page as well. What is this? Is this a new game? Is this a new film? Who's in it? When's it coming out? When can I see more? More. And I was just like, fuck. All right. This is what I wanted, but I wasn't expecting to get it now. You know, so I just beavered on, you know, kept making, you know, putting new still, you know, building the thing and releasing new stills. They would go viral. More people would come to the page. More people ask questions. I was like, you know, and then I was like, shit, you know what I've done in this little short? I've killed off James. Now, in the larger scope of the film, I haven't killed off James, but in terms of this quantifiable little 2-minute chunk, I've killed off probably one of the favourite protagonists of the entire fucking series. And I was like, shit. I hadn't considered that, because obviously I was thinking about as the story progresses, but then I considered that, I'm only releasing a bubble. So I begged Della to give me one more evening so we could film another scene that kind of shows that what happened to Heather on the subway train was just an hallucination, and also at that time I'd been talking to the admins of Silent Hill fan pages, Whitney at the Historical Society, Will at Paradise, and Tyler at Silent Nerd. And they'd all been saying, why are you not crowdfunding this? And I was just like, crowdfund doesn't work for me. And I've tried it twice before, and both times it failed. So I don't really want to try again. And they were like, well, I think you should, because we're getting constant contacts from people wanting to know what this is. And if it's just going to be a short film, I'm sure they're going to love it, but they'd want more. And I was like, yeah, but I can't make more unless I've got a budget. And I was like, well, then do a crowdfunder and see if you can raise that budget. And I was like, well, I suppose why not? I mean, it doesn't cost anything to set it up. You know, everyone makes money based on, you know, Indiegogo makes money based on whether it gets funded or not. You know, they take a percentage of the money raised. And so I thought, all right, fuck it, fine. I won't make a short film, I'll make it into proof of concept instead, and I'll make it kind of trailer-esque. So when I asked Stella to come back to do this additional scene to show that James isn't dead, we also shot a series of clips that would be in the final film if the final film existed, because at that time obviously the final film didn't exist. These were just snapshots of Heather and James doing stuff in Silent Hill that would eventually, if the film got made, would then be refilmed and so on. And so then I cut this little proof of concept together. So it went from being a short film to a proof of concept. So I had opening 2 minutes was Heather on a train, then a series of like happening shots, then the scene where Heather finds James again, but she finds him in a cell, which was reminiscent of the scene from Silent Hill 2 when James finds Maria, but I role reversed it, so James was in the cell and Heather was the one walking into the cell, and she's like, how can you be alive, you're dead? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'd never kill myself. So, you know, classic Silent Hill, playing with your expectations. And then once that scene had rebutted, then another series of shots to detail the rest of the film. And then made an Indiegogo crowdfunding page to raise $3,000. So I figured $3,000 would be enough. I doubt I'll get more than that. I doubt I'll even get that much. I ain't gonna ask for like a ridiculous budget of like 30 to 50,000, because who the fuck am I? I'm just some guy in Middle England making films. I haven't made anything of significant worth yet. Yes, I got my short film episode of the Raindance Film Festival, but that's a short film. I haven't shown my prowess at feature. No one's gonna give me 50 grand to prove that. So I worked out what was the bare minimum. Bare minimum was 3 grand. Do it on 3 grand, just. Put up the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo, sorry, I get them all confused. Put up the Indiegogo for 45 days. Want to raise 3 grand in 45 days. I probably won't raise 300, but let's try it anyway. In 7 days, we'd raised 3 grand. I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it, it was amazing. And so I left it going, you know, did stretch goals, and up to 6 grand. So I was like, I don't think I can get much more than 6, and we ended up getting 5, and I'm glad because we needed it. So finally, we got crowdfunded. And funny story, another funny story. The next day after Silent Requiem was funded, fog descended all over my area, Leicester. I shit you not. This thick pea soup fog just come out of fucking nowhere. I was just like, is this Silent Hill saying well done? I mean, I took pictures and I put them on my page, so you may have seen them, you may have not. I might try and insert them into this. But yeah, just the fog came to Leicester and Leicester suddenly looked like Silent Hill, and it was just really odd. And so anyway, I started beavering away. So the first thing I did was, you know, I built the script in bullet point form. I asked AJ from the 4th Floor website, which is a website about Silent Hill theories and essays and all this kind of really deep horror sort of stuff. I approached her and I asked AJ, would you be the correspondent for me in writing the script? So I would write things, I'd then send them to her, she'd have a look over it, we'd then chat on like Hangouts or something and, you know, move it on from there. You know, because I wanted Requiem to be as canon as humanly possible as like a film can be to a game. I didn't want to change anything. This Requiem was a continuation, so I'm not remaking any of the games as a film. Personally, I don't see the point. The games are already film-esque as they are. Don't need to make a film out of it. Play the fucking game. So I wanted to make a continuation. So obviously I took certain endings from some of the games that have multiple endings. That was my canon, and the way I chose that, it was chose by the ending I got the first time I completed the game. That was my rule for what canon I was choosing. So some of you are going to disagree with the canon I've chosen, some of you are going to agree, but the fact of the matter is, that's how I picked it. It was the ending I got when I played the game, so that's my ending. And that's where I'm going to continue the character from. So, like I said, I wanted the script to be as canon as possible to what Team Silent we're trying to make. So yeah, Requiem, if you didn't know, is based, it's taken, its inspiration and it's based mostly on 1 through 4. Yeah, there are stylistic ideas I've taken from like Homecoming and Downpour and Shattered Memories and Origins and Silent Hill the Arcade, but they're just thematic stuff. I haven't taken any of the actual narrative within those. The narrative comes from 1 through 4. And specifically, Requiem takes most of its inspiration from Silent Hill 2 because, cliche, that's my favourite one. So anyway, so I wrote a treatment. Chatted about it with AJ, she liked it, started building the script from that. This took me about 3 months to write the script. And having correspondence with AJ, and boom, script was done. Excellent. 80-page script. Quite long for a feature film. Usually they're more in the 50 to 60 range. So I was like, man, I'll have to cut some, but we'll see. Did read-throughs. Got the actors, did read-throughs. They loved it. You know, they were on board for everything. You know, everything sounded good when they did it. Everything worked. It's like sweet. Storyboard time. Now, storyboards can be pretty much any way that it works for the director. So some people's storyboards are kind of written storyboards. Some people have just pictures of stick men. Oh, so-and-so's over there and so-and-so's over there and the camera's kind of here. Because I film on green screen, it's basically, let's pretend, the actor's coming into an empty space. Maybe there'd be a table, maybe there'd be a chair if need be, but generally an empty space, green, and then they have to imagine where they are, where things are in space, where other actors are in space, and so on and so forth. So I find that easier to do if I draw a really detailed storyboard. And you'll be able to see some storyboards now. I'll take some pictures and they can slide by while I'm talking. So my storyboards, I make them like comics. I try to make them as detailed as possible so I can explain to an actor blah 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 like this, and you know, so they can see where they are spatially, they can get an idea where other things are spatially, and then we go from that. So it's just, you know, so, but doing storyboards like that takes time, and the storyboard ended up being 160 pages, and that took me another 3 months to do. So basically 6 months went by after being crowdfunded before we could even start filming. During those 6 months, costumes were being made, props were being made, you know, everything was happening in that 6 months while I was, you know, doing all the pre-production. Then we were ready to film. Sometimes I couldn't get my actors together. Just it happened, scheduling problems. But the beauty of green screen is that I can sometimes get away with filming an actor. I play the opposing role for that actor. Then obviously remove myself and replace them with the other actor when I film them, when I play the opposing role for them. Yeah. So filming was spread out, but collectively, if you want to give it a time, filming took about 3 weeks to do, 12-hour days, 6 days a week. So 3 weeks later, you know, we are now somewhere between August, September. The film was in the can. So next comes the editing. And I have been editing this film since October last year. And I'm still editing it now. And that's where I'm going to leave you with this vlog, because this vlog has gone on far longer than I wanted to. So next vlog, I will talk about what happened, how we filmed it, how it all got put together, any funny stories I can think of, and then I'll tell you where we're at and whether I can give you a date on whether it's going to be. Well, it's going to be finished. Drilling's happening again, so you can probably hear buzzsaws and stuff in the background. So anyway, thank you for listening to this vlog. Thank you for coming to the site and checking it out. And stay tuned, and I'll be back with another vlog soon. See ya.